The period between 1914 and 1918 saw a great war happening in the fields of Europe. The battles are known and often represented with soldiers in monuments around our country, but what was happening at home? With Fighting from Home, we're commissioning a series of 6 artworks on the Mill Pond Meadows Nature Reserve, which represent all of the different things that happen to the real people in Featherstone. We've discovered so many different parts of Featherstone's rich history, and this documentary shows what we're going to do with that research. Hiya, I'm Luke Perry and I'm a public artist. So I make sculptures the same sort of size as Warhorse, and what I'll be doing here is I'm going to be making some sculptures about non-combatants in Featherstone in the First World War. So they are people that were really important to make sure that the war could happen and that the soldiers could come back to an area and a life that was normal to them. So they're people like the munitions girls, the VAD nurses, children, older people, refugees, and all sorts of people that I want you to learn about with me. So when we do this together, that when you come and see this unveiled, you'll understand why it's here and what it was about.
I think one of the main things with public art, especially for young people, is it gives them knowledge. It also gives them that sort of inspiration to perhaps do things that they wouldn't do. The sort of public art we have here in Featherstone is all about the history of the town, and it's the history that we need to get over to young people. This is what happened in the past.
As with almost every town in the UK, Featherstone in the Great War saw a lot of men go off to fight. But the majority of the people that lived there still contributed hugely to the war effort. And that happened in ways that are just not represented now. But if you look at the history, it's all over. So for our artwork in Featherstone, what I'll be doing is using steel bar, either this sort of thickness to that thickness for facial expressions and body shape, and then that kind of thickness there for the support for the bodies, and bending them using the furnace over there, hammers and anvils to create the shapes of the 6 sculptures that are going to be in Mill Pond over in Featherstone with you. The 6 designs that we've come up with are all really drawn from what was going on at the time, particularly with the individuals that we're looking at. So we're looking at children, for example, how they were affected. There was a lot of poverty, but they contributed hugely. They did plays, they gave their Christmas presents. So this is represented by this young boy here, and he does look thinner and perhaps as though he suffered loss. At the very beginning in 1914, when Belgium was invaded, they were inviting lots of the Belgian refugees over, and it was embraced as part of what we need to do as a society to look after the people who we were fighting for. A lot of the women from Featherstone would have got on a charabanc and gone to the munitions factories over towards Leeds. In particular, Barnbow, which was the biggest filling station in the UK, filling literally large shells that would go over to the Western Front and be used in trench warfare.
I started working in the pit bottom at the time when I was 15, and then worked my way through to working on the coal face. On the coal face at times was very dangerous, same as it was in the trenches, because you used to get roof falls nearly every other day. So the only thing you get there is a body bag. That's all you get, because you're dead. I think that the sculpture is a good idea of a miner. We need a miner because it's a mining town.
A lot of coal mining would be a reserved occupation, so they would have stayed doing their work because the country needed coal for fuel to fight the war. The miners who didn't go to war and carried on working, other people were just as brave.
And so that's represented here by a coal miner on his way to work or on his way back, carrying the banner, which was the symbol of their mine at the Acton Hall branch and the other branches of Featherstone. Moving over to the figure of the VAD nurse. So that is representative of women's changing roles. A huge portion became voluntary aid detachment nurses, so VAD nurses, either at home or in a field hospital in France. You can't really talk about the home life of what was happening in the war without talking about loss. And so to represent that, we've got a sort of haggard figure which could have been at war. You're expecting that he was. He's also laying flowers in memory of the people that he may have lost. So the idea of loss is broad, because you don't just lose a body, you don't just lose your mental health, you can lose the way of life.
Oh, I'm very excited about seeing the sculptures. It's that particular area. It started from so little, and now it's just becoming such a wonderful area to visit. The message is there, and we need to give that message to people. Not to forget how dreadful these events are, but to remember and to learn and to move forward and look at it and think, yes, let's not let it happen again.
Your teacher will now be able to give you some worksheets, and depending on how old you are, you might be able to do 1, 2 or all 3 of them. The first one is on nurses in the war. So on the back of this sheet, you can help colour in Agnes, or you can draw her a friend, or both. The second sheet is posters in the First World War, known as propaganda, and these were there to help people to join up or to get involved in the war effort. This would have been something that was very exciting, and they used very bright and bold colours and pictures to get people to pay attention to what they want. Can you design a poster for us on the back of these sheets? The last sheet is letters home. So if you were a munitions girl, or a coal miner, or a VAD nurse, or any of the other things that we've found out about, would you be able to write a letter home to your friends or the people that you love, telling them about what kind of life you're living? And finally, I've designed the artworks based on what I thought would look good, but what would you think would make a really good artwork? How about you design a sculpture for the nature reserve, and then at the exhibition, when we unveil the final sculptures, maybe your artwork could be part of that. I really look forward to seeing all of your final designs.